Will we ever see his like again? After 22 years and over 1,000 games in charge of Arsenal, Arsene Wenger has left the club, rubber stamping the arrival of the post-long-term manager era. In truth, it's been in effect for quite a while, but it's hard to pinpoint an exact watershed moment that set about a wider cultural change in the way that the role of manager works. Especially since managers have always come and gone, and short reigns aren't exactly a uniquely modern phenomena. Brian Clough's reign at Leeds back in 1974 lasted just 44 days. But in 2018, managerial stints that last more than a few years have very much become the exception rather than the rule. But is that even a bad thing? How did it end up happening? What does it all mean? And is the long-term manager dead? In recent years, the here and now has undoubtedly become completely and utterly paramount in the minds of just about everyone involved in football, from chairman right down to the fans. In English football, this can often be explained by the financial rewards on offer. As everyone knows, staying in or getting into the Premier League is worth an extraordinary amount of money. Immediate results are key, and anxiety over a bad string of results can make looking beyond the next game difficult. The question of whether in 2018 Sir Alex Ferguson would have been given time to work through his first few underwhelming seasons at Man United is one that's often brought up, but it really does make you wonder. With the constant 24-hour news cycle, rumour mill and social media often helping to blow individual results, comments and even pieces of body language out of all proportion, patience with managers is often thin on the ground. Player power is stronger than ever, with whole squads able to stop putting in 100% to get their boss out. The manager is dismissed and written off as a failure, while the players whose underperformance led to his exit go back to having their names sung within a matter of weeks. While a club can't get rid of its playing staff by clicking their fingers, managers are far more disposable and often become an easy figure for fans to project all their anger and ills onto, even though the grass isn't always greener. With so many teams chasing a quick honeymoon period, the same managers find themselves in jobs time and again, and you really do begin to wonder what the bloody point of it all is. Did anyone really see Sam Allardyce building anything at Everton? Or were both parties always waiting to call the whole thing off? When you spend the summer recruiting players to play expansive football under Ronald Koeman and bring Allardyce in by November, you end up with Davy Klaassen, who cost €27 million, completely marooned and unwanted. The phrase "in transition" has become very vogue recently, and it's not hard to see why. If you can't stick with a manager for more than 12 months, how can you expect to have a settled side, style of play and philosophy? Plus, relegated West Brom are on their third manager of the season. Stoke their second, and Swansea have had 4 in the last 2 seasons. So does changing managers even work? Well, for some teams it does. Watford have stayed up for the 3rd season in a row. There was widespread outrage when Southampton replaced Nigel Adkins with Mauricio Pochettino. Now one's at Hull City and the other Tottenham. Bringing in a new boss every few years has never done Real Madrid much harm. Take a look at Crystal Palace this season, for example. They lost their first 7 games, scoring no goals in the process, and replaced Frank de Boer with Roy Hodgson and are now safely in the Premier League for next season. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule that make it impossible to start carrying out a post-mortem on the long-term manager. Just look at Sean Dyche and Eddie Howe doing excellent jobs at Burnley and Bournemouth, bringing an identity to their clubs, as well as success on the pitch. While one manager achieving success after putting his imprint on a club over the course of a decade or more might be the ultimate aesthetic victory for some, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and no approach to football is objectively more worthy than another. But even if the lifespan of a manager seems shorter than ever at the moment, there will always be a desire to create something less transient and build a legacy. The long-term manager might be an endangered species right now, but extinct? Not just yet.